So there's a recap in the beginning, right?
It always starts off with that same opening.
Okay. So we're watching that, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna watch. It's such a short opening.
Yeah,
it's like literally like one line. It's very strange opening.
it's like the Firefly one at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that Firefly one isn't that Firefly one's a bit longer. This one is literally like, it just feels like it's one line, isn't it?
And also with this one, it's kind of like very abrupt, the way it starts, so you're not actually like missing something. But if we're ready, I'm gonna count to 3 and we'll all play at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
She's very creative with her stakes.
Yep.
Is the idea that you can really make a steak out of anything?
She used wood. The first one she broke off from a chair, and this time she just broke it off a tree.
Oh, okay.
It has to be wood, right?
It has
Yeah.
That
to
sounds
be
like
wood.
it's something that's kind of a thing.
Yeah, the chair steak might be my favorite.
So because she's a slayer, then it gives the wood power.
No,
No, it's just wood.
through the heart.
Oh,
For
Yeah,
somebody who's been in such a fight, sure, her makeup looks pretty perfect.
That's
It's on
player
point.
power.
I will say this opening is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I
Like,
know, right?
I mean, for these old timey, like, openings that just show you a bunch of clips from an episode, this one is pretty high up there. It's pretty, like, with just that rock, that the guitar just fun.
I always liked it too.
Does anybody think a Rocky Horror Picture Show the narrator with the globe and then holding the book?
The old ones. Ooh, that's fun. this vampire is just like the quintessential henchman.
The one.
Henchman.
the one that
Henchman.
attacked by-
Yeah.
He'd be a henchpire.
I recently saw him in something else that his voice is unmistakable. I was like, wait, I've heard that before. He was.
He has that voice and face where you can't forget him.
So, quick quiz. How long has he waited in years?
The master?
Uh-huh.
You want us to do math?
Yep.
No, thank you.
Oh, like how long has he been down here? Is that what you're at?
Yeah, he's been waiting.
You know what 3 score years is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 60 years. I mean, I just
Yeah,
know the
60
answer.
years.
Yeah, he wanted us to convert math.
Yeah, I just wanted to do some math. I mean, come on.
Shh, John, I'm watching.
You don't have to do math if you know the answer.
I know that's right.
So this might be a dumb question, but is it only the Slayer who can actually kill them?
No.
No, I don't.
You can do it, MJ.
Sweet.
Yeah. Is what makes her a slayer just that she's just skilled, or does she actually
She's
have
the
some
chosen
power?
one.
But does that
Doesn't
come
have
with
powers?
Does that come with powers?
Well,
or
they
is it
did
just
say in the
high
first
skill?
episode that she was stronger than she looked.
She
Oh.
ripped the door off the gym.
Got it. Got it.
She's pretty badass.
I think that's why they show us that scene when she goes in to find the dead body in the first episode, because like she cracks the door frame of the gym door.
He's very crypt keeper.
Dude, now I want to know what happened in Madrid.
Jesse's face is hilarious.
Totally. Totally. I want some fan fiction about what happened in Madrid back in 1843.
There probably is some already.
I'm positive there is somewhere.
Accidentally decrypted it. Ugh.
Willow is a very interesting character.
Oh, I love her.
I bet she could fix your
Just her
avatar.
like her totally like monotone tone of voice is really funny.
But that's Giles Flanagan in general.
Yeah. Giles is a
Such
bit
a
close, do we think?
Sweetheart.
I know it's
Yeah.
like pandemic days, Omicron guys. Giles, please, 6 feet.
Come on, but
He's like, I only have a 4x9 frame. Give me a break.
She's also a teenager and he's a school official.
Yeah.
So true, Diana.
Did they normally fence teenagers in?
Not here.
Not like the front door, but like the playground area is usually fenced in like that.
My high school actually had a closed campus. We weren't allowed to leave either.
yeah, we had campus security.
Our high
roamed
school, we
around.
weren't supposed to leave, but we did anyway.
Same, Sherry.
Whoa, what was that? Did you guys see that? That was an epic jump over
Yeah.
a very high fence.
Because she's the chosen one with special ability.
Does anybody else want to have a mushroom shirt like that?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever noticed it was mushrooms.
I rocked that shirt.
But it's so 90s to have like the white t-shirt underneath a slightly open button shirt.
I dressed more like Willow than anybody else, I think. More casual, crazy.
The theme for boys in the 90s was many layers. Shirt with another shirt with another shirt on top of it.
And sometimes baggy pants.
You had to have the baggy pants.
And the low riding. I had a pair of Jinkos.
So did I.
I loved them. I never had them. I wasn't cool like that.
That's Angel. Knew it. Knew it.
You knew it.
Sorry, that's a little spoilery. We haven't technically gotten his name yet.
Nope.
John.
He's the reason I'm here.
Somebody spoiled it last
Here it
time.
comes.
There it is. All right, we're good. We're good now.
Spoiled by 1 whole minute.
Whoa.
Look at that hair.
David Boreanaz is such a baby face in this.
an angel face, if you will.
We both have baby faces.
These two kind of like each other. I have this sense that these two have a little bit of chemistry going on.
They're vibing a bit.
John, you love your romances.
Oh, I'm a sucker for it. Yeah. And the name Angel, I've got a lot of questions there. Most of them are answered because I'm pretty much spoiled on the character, but fallen angel, maybe. Ooh. A fallen angel who wants to be redeemed.
John. I see where you're going.
Somebody make note of John's prediction.
Oh, I'm writing them down.
Oh, this is so my style. Like just in some sort of old catacombs, you know. Oh, love it. Oh wait, no, these aren't that old.
Diana, he's added another layer. He has a coat on now.
Yep.
Because it gets so cold in California.
Oh my goodness, this is my biggest beef with this show, and you'll see it throughout the show. And this isn't like a ruin anything, but the costumer loves coats, and she puts Buffy in a coat all the time. And she is the Slayer. She could survive in Antarctica probably. She just puts her in a coat, and it's like 80 degrees.
But coats are
And
so
sweaters.
big.
It's for fashion.
I have this feeling, this is total prediction. I really don't remember. I have a feeling that Jesse's a vampire at this point. Like he's already a vampire. They've already made him a vampire.
I'm pretty sure last time you said he'd be vampire or dead, and they're kind of the same thing, aren't they, John?
No, actually,
I still want to hear the rest of the little X-Acto knife story.
I still love looking at the library.
I would love this job.
It's so hard not to see Ted Lasso in Giles.
Complete opposite types of characters.
I mean, so opposite, but now I can't like unsee it.
I had the reverse problem when I watched Ted Lasso.
Me too.
Maybe you get them to help you with the app, John. Look what they're.
I'm sorry, say again.
I said maybe you get them to help with the app. They're coding.
These don't. They don't seem like they'd be great developers. These two.
Don't judge a book by its cover, John.
Is
But
her
you're
name-
right.
What is her name? Cordelia? Is that the name?
Yes.
Yes.
Cordelia. She's going to be a vampire at some point.
So many predictions.
I will say this computer class bears a lot of resemblance to my own in high school.
Oh, it's a really, really accurate depiction of a 90s computer class.
Ooh, she's a mean girl.
Wow. Ouch.
So clever.
I love it.
Awesome. That was so good.
Payback.
The
Willow
geek
is-
shall
I
inherit
did
the
not-
earth.
I didn't see where that was coming. I didn't see it.
Willow is a secret badass. I love it.
Love.
He's a vampire.
Oh my gosh, yes, he is.
I mean, just he is. I mean, period. He's a vampire.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're all like peeping around the corner. Although if he is a vampire, it does mean that Buffy's not on her game because she should be able to detect.
She should detect.
But there's so many of them around.
Oh, hello,
I guess you were right.
hello.
That's a plus from Xander.
Also, you can I mean, it's obviously, when you first watched the series, if you watched the series for the first time when it aired, you wouldn't know this, but now all these years later, you can do deductive reasoning with Jesse because he's just on none of the posters that you've ever seen for the show. So got to be a vampire.
Interesting trivia on that. Joss Whedon actually wanted him in the opening credits just to fool us, but it ended up being too much work, so they didn't do it.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that would have been neat.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Drew Barrymore Scream throw off.
It's kind of cool that he went up first, so she's letting him up first. Usually it's a girl.
It's because he's the weakling, Tiffany. I think if she left him behind her, he would probably get eaten.
I lived in Black Clogs in the 90s.
Aren't they the best? So comfortable.
I hate this guy.
I love the mask.
He's a pretty cool bad guy.
A strong start for a series, but the big bad doesn't prove.
Rose.
Jeez. He definitely follows the like really make your villain as absolutely horrible as you possibly can.
I mean, with a face like that, you just gotta go with it at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's just like a full-fledged mustache twirling villain. Absolutely nothing about that character humanized in any way. That's just old classic villain.
Well, that's the thing about vampires, though. They're not really like villains in the sense of like, I don't know, like they're just dead, soulless beings. Like, so there's just no redeeming them almost ever.
Oh, I mean, nowadays you'd have like a vampire. I mean, True Blood, I'm guessing, had like plenty of vampires that were like, not quite so bad guy.
You haven't watched that, John?
I didn't know, but I mean, in general, like, villains now are, painted with more shades of gray. It's very possible that I only watched the pilot because I really genuinely I don't remember anything at all. This is like never seen it.
That's great, Rustin.
Yes, but then you have to remember we can't always answer your question.
The only scene that I kind of vaguely remember from the pilot was the scene when she meets Angel for the first time. But even that, I'm wondering, like, is it just because I've seen him on a bunch of posters? Maybe that.
The super high pony.
Is Buffy a nickname for a longer name?
Nope, that's her
No.
name.
That's her name.
I read somewhere that he came up with it because he didn't want the character to be taken like too seriously for the movie.
Says it's one of the an old nickname for Elizabeth.
Oh,
We were talking in the rewatch on Tuesday that Buffy was a really common nickname along with Miffy, like back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So you saw a bunch of movies and stuff back then with it, but not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nickname for Elizabeth.
That's interesting. That's my middle name. I didn't never know that.
Yeah, my mom's name is Betty, which is also an Elizabeth nickname. Elizabeth had a lot of nicknames.
Yeah, Libby. My mother-in-law
Mhm.
was Betty Elizabeth. We called her Betty.
like
Yeah, we have a Biddy and
That steak that she had looked real sharp.
yeah, that's professional grade.
She just didn't rip that sucker off a tree.
Oh, can I make a prediction? Pool stick used as a steak. Can I just make that prediction right now? Anytime I see any kind of wood on this show, I'm going to immediately assume that it's going to be a steak at some point.
That means you're now a Buffy fan.
Yeah, not till you start looking around your house and going, ooh, that'd make a good steak.
I definitely think that's how I spent like the last couple of years of my high school existence.
Looking for things to use as steaks.
No, just like seeing them everywhere. Cordelia is just the most perfect high school mean girl, and I love her.
I think it's hilarious that she and Sarah tried out for each other's roles. Can't imagine Sarah Michelle Gellar as Cordelia.
Or it could
That's
be
the
a
vampire guy,
Buffy.
right?
I know,
Yeah, look
right?
at how he looks now, though. He's like his hair is more slicked back. It's not as greasy looking, not as much product. He looks more pampered.
Vampire life suits him. It did good for him.
And overconfident.
Lots more attractive.
Oh my God, this music.
Ooh, boy. Time for
Ending
harvest.
90s.
I love that Darla has like that schoolgirl look going on.
The bounce.
She's excited for the party.
Was this before or after Oops, I Did It Again?
Way before.
Way before.
At least 3 or 4 years.
I think 2.
Yeah, that was like 9. Was that was like 99 or 2000? So this is 7.
It was 99. It was right before I graduated.
What was 99?
Oops. Britney Spears' Oops video.
Oh.
Or you're thinking of Baby One More Time is what.
Yeah.
Zero stars, don't recommend.
I mean, they don't just want to feed on these people. They also just want to just terrify them beforehand.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Fear is like an Alexa.
He's the vessel.
He didn't have any blood on his teeth.
I mean, it was rated PG-ish, so
Yeah,
on network television
I'm okay with that.
in the 90s, we didn't really do that.
No.
Now I really understand this whole like this thing about like how all of this is like a sort of metaphor for just how awful high school can be.
Ding, ding, ding. Yep.
Part of the fun of watching. Villains always have to talk.
He's quite poetic.
Especially the old one.
That was a backflip.
You got it so quick.
So cool.
And there was your pool stick.
You got it.
Pool stick and backflip. I mean, I'm getting a lot of them here.
Lucky Cordelia.
Cartwheel.
No, that was the spinning roundhouse kick.
No, but there was the cartwheel happened before it.
Your enthusiasm.
Look at all those potential stakes.
I'm getting like really into the whole steak thing. I'm now thinking like, can she?
Yes.
No.
Boom.
Ta-da-da.
Not just steaks.
Take their head off with a sim.
Drumstick steak.
Oops.
Oh, so anybody can kill a vampire.
Yes.
I love how he's freaking out before he realizes it's just a street light.
I appreciate that there's no gore and blood though.
Glorious.
I really expected him to yell like curses.
I love it. Those vampires are just like, nope, I'm not gonna do that.
She looks too scary.
I love that shot of
Oh,
her that
Angel
ends up
too.
in the opening.
Yep.
He
pretty
was
glorious.
28 when this was filmed. What does he do? He just lurks. That's all he does is he lurks. That's his job.
That's his specialty.
And looks
And
pretty.
love
Lurks and he
language.
gives her warnings.
And
Lurks
looks
and
pretty. And looks pretty.
There's a lurker and a watcher.
So is that like a little that's part of the show, is that Cordelia never really believes any of the stuff that's happening around her?
you don't want his dancer. Come on, John.
I mean, that would be
Cordelia
a
is just
very that would be a
Cordelia.
very fun gimmick if that happened, like throughout the entire series. Like she was always put in these situations, and afterwards, like just is like, yeah, that was just so weird.
I mean, they're basically saying that here. Like the whole shtick is that people just go on with their lives.
And they're always making up weird excuses for what's going on in their town.
The earth is doomed.
The earth is doomed.
Excessive not studying.
Oh,
So my question is, what about Jesse's parents?
If anybody else wants to come up, I opened up the count.
he'll probably be a milk carton kid, John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in this situation,
so
it would
it's
just
like,
be a
so
missing person.
so they wouldn't really ever get into any of that, right? Like we're gonna see plenty of high school students, I'm imagining, dying throughout this series, but we don't really touch too much on
In the first episode,
whether or not the parents are like, what is going on here? Why are our children like gone? Just like gone.
In the first episode, when Buffy first goes in the library, she sees a paper on the counter with the red circle around 2 boys missing. So every so often you might see something about missing people.
Got it.
And they'll never find the body because it's all dust.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it feels like it would be a real national news story.
But again, they just, kind of just go on with their lives and sort of like, oh, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's otherwise they go to dusk because it's inconvenient to have bodies hanging around, and it's inconvenient for people to remember. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a series.
Yeah, and like it's teenagers. Like, if we're focusing on like the teenage demographic, like you would just assume it's a runaway, and so there really wouldn't be much investigation into that. It's like, oh, it's a runaway.
Skip town with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun.
Sherry, you did say you opened up the couch. I heard you say that, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you said that, but sometimes it cuts out for me.
So we're 2 episodes into Buffy, and at the end of every episode, we stick around for about 45 minutes or so after the episode, as we did with Gilmore Girls, to just chat about what we saw and get questions answered and theorize things to come, which I imagine is amusing for people who already know what's to actually come. For noobs like Regina, what do you think?
Anybody.
Sorry,
Regina,
I
what?
was having trouble unlocking my phone. But yeah, I still liked it. I still am hooked. Nothing has changed. Was there something in particular that
The music.
you wanted my reaction to?
The music.
Oh, the music especially. Oh my god! Don't even get me started. The music. Yes. Very nice. Oh my god, yes. That would be music I would listen to. Hold on. After this, I'm definitely gonna look up the Buffy soundtrack. I'm definitely gonna listen to that. I don't know why I haven't streamed it yet, but it's happening. Yes.
I used Shazam while I was watching the episode.
Really? Oh my goodness.
The song when they're walking into the club is actually on the soundtrack for this.
that was one of the funnier moments for me.
You gotta get into it, John. Back to the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure by the end of this, I'm gonna be like just only listening to like 90s mainstream rock Spotify playlists.
Yes.
No, you have to do the indie playlist, not the mainstream.
Oh, what indie? what indie?
The underground 90s rock, not the main stuff.
This is not, but this is not underground mainstream rock or underground 90s rock.
They did use some bands that were relatively unknown to the masses back then. Once in a while.
Yeah,
on the
but
show.
it's the sound itself, though. The sound.
Yeah.
I mean, like late 90s, we were already starting to like explore what we would kind of consider to be indie rock, like of the early aughts, and this sound was very much the sound of mainstream rock and roll in the like 90s.
Was that like a real song by a real band, or was that just a song for the show? I mean, I
It
never
might have
heard
been a
of
song
it.
for the. It might have been a song for the show. It just sounded very like.
The actual band, I can't remember their name. They actually did put out like an album. Of course, it didn't really sell much, but this was like their one song that people knew because of.
But Buffy wasn't, I mean, it was popular, but I think it was described as having a cult following, you know, so it wasn't the most mainstream show.
Yeah, partly because I think it was on the WB and it was kind of targeted towards a more young adult audience at the time. That started mid-season, kind of that unusual start time in the winter. Winter here, not for you. Summer for you.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it was a really popular show, and then they had it was a what is it called when they have a spin-off?
Yeah, it wasn't. I wouldn't. I don't think it was a popular show in its first season. It was just like a show on the WB, which was, you know, considered to be the smallest net or one of the smallest networks next to. I don't know if anybody remembers the UPN network, which was on around the same time.
Yep. Yeah.
It was UPN and WB that became CW. But certainly by like season 4 of this show, it was a huge phenomenon. Like it was like definitely the like one of the biggest shows on TV, or one of the big talked about shows. Yeah.
Season 2 is when it really picked up, and they like the advertisement, like the studio really got behind it in season 2, and is when it just took off. Like, and that's kind of around the time when Allison Hannigan was in band camp. Was it the American Pie?
American Pie.
Yeah. So season 2 is when it really started.
that's what I think too. I think when they got picked up and brought back, and they were probably given a little bit more budget, maybe some better costuming and makeup.
Oh yeah.
They all didn't have to share the same face.
Yeah, they
I
had the
don't
same
think
teeth.
so. they got a little bit more unique in starting in season 2.
Yeah, season 2,
Yeah, I
like
mean-
after they saw the scripts and got into season 2, the network was like, okay, they kind of took the reins off of Joss and really started promoting him and letting him do what he wanted, and that's when it started.
It's interesting that the look of the vampires in this are kind of like with vampire lore, you have like a spectrum in vampire fiction. You have like a spectrum of like really monstery looking, like they don't even like totally look like people, to just they look exactly like people. They just happen to be the most attractive people, and they have sharp teeth. And it's interesting that he went for kind of a little bit more on the monsterier side. He went a little bit more on the like kind of gross looking, you know, given the fact that it's a show that was made for teenagers, that, you know, was made for a younger audience that would be into like their hot characters.
I like the way he did it though, because you kind of get both sides, because these guys can change their face, so they just look like everybody else, and then all of a sudden they look monstrous.
Well, like I mean, but we don't know. But I mean, we don't know what the hench
Yeah.
fire looks like.
No, but like Darla, she's a pretty girl, right? And then all of a sudden she turns into this creepy looking vampire.
Right.
Yeah, so I think they've got both, because Jesse was somehow kind of more attractive, you know, before he revealed his new.
Right, but when they're vampires, I guess is what I mean. Like, you know, in there's a lot of vampire fiction where it's like they're totally normal, and then they transform into their vampire form, and it's really just they just open their mouth and they have got like sharp teeth all of a sudden.
I see.
Kind of like the Twilight sparkly vampires.
Yeah, like that,
Same.
or like the True Blood vampires, I would guess. I mean, again, I haven't seen the show, but I imagine like it doesn't look like that show does too much like
No,
prosthetic
they don't
makeup
make them
and
look creepy like weird
creepy
like
and
this.
stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Well, even
and,
Interview with a Vampire, they're still.
Oh yeah,
pretty-
Interview with the Vamp. All of the Anne Rice vampires. Those Anne Rice vampires are sexy like in every incarnation. You know, they're like all forms are hot.
Those are the vampires I like.
Yeah, I mean that kind of, I want to say that kind of like got pop culture into vampires and allowed Buffy to sort of be palatable. But it's just interesting that he didn't go for that type of vampire, which like even like Dark Shadows, even Dark Shadows, the old Dark Shadows,
The original.
Even that didn't really like.
No, they didn't look like this.
Didn't monster them up and stuff, and so like, yeah, it's true. Darla is attractive when she's not, but when she becomes a vampire, she looks all weird looking, and then of course the henchpire.
Luke, we don't know because he doesn't.
He doesn't
See,
change back.
I kind of wonder. You look at the Master. The Master looks kind of like a monster. And
Yeah, the
we
Master
never-
just looks like
so
looks
far-
like proto Voldemort.
Yeah, so maybe. Oh, Regina and I were talking about that. He kind of reminds us of the Baron and what we do in the shadows. And I thought,
Baron
oh my
Alphonse.
God. Yes.
I haven't seen
But,
seen it yet.
But he really does
But,
look like that Nosferatu thing. That's what
Yeah.
that old original vampire.
Like
Yeah,
the ones who can't change
Nosferatu is more on the monster side of it. Like,
Yeah.
more like all really scary and weird looking.
Like maybe he's been a vampire so long he can't change back to his human looking form, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel bummer for that actor. that actor is like, man, I didn't get to look hot at all, like during the entire thing.
I like that they changed their face personally, because I feel like, again, like this is geared towards teenagers and it's a metaphor for high school. So it's kind of the you don't know someone's you don't know someone's true face until they show it and then it's evil.
No,
so it works in that way.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's cool.
Oh, it's so deep.
I kind of take it as like you need to have a Snickers.
They all need a stick
to be the true self.
That's funny.
Oh, I can't stay, guys, but this will be fun. I'll see you for the next one. Have a great day and happy birthday, Julie.
Thank you.
Bye, Veronica. Have a good one, Veronica.
Bye, Veronica.
Bye.
Bye, Veronica.
So who has not seen it? I would love to know their opinion of the episode.
I'm a newbie. I haven't. This is my first watch of them.
I'm pretty
I
new.
I loved
haven't.
it. It was awesome.
I'm not sold on it yet, but I did love Willow, how she got Cordelia to delete everything.
That was the best. That was like one of the best, if not the best moment of the entire episode.
I
for me.
think
awesome.
Willow is my favorite character.
Like deliver, and what was so awesome about it is that like it took me a second. I don't know how other noobs were with it, but it did take me a second. I was like deliver, and then as soon as it hit me, I was like, oh my god, that's so good.
Yep. Willow bringing out the mean girl side of her own, but not quite as direct.
I wonder if Willow will ever do a backflip or a roundhouse or a cartwheel.
We'll just have to wait and
Oh
see.
no, not this
She
again.
needs to. She's pretty badass.
Wait, Lisa.
Yeah.
Were you not watching this episode? There was a backflip. There were two backflips. There were two backflips, a cartwheel onto the stage, and then a spinning hook kick or roundhouse.
There was.
I mean, I sort of feel like all of my Firefly predictions were actually Buffy predictions.
I think they were. I feel like they were.
What did I say to you last time?
What?
that River is possibly that decade, that generation slayer. There's
Ooh.
just no more vampires.
Well, you could say that the
Reavers are vampires.
the Reavers are vampires because they do eat human flesh.
True.
I mean, right?
Just extreme.
Who else is the noob on the couch other than Regina and MJ?
Stephanie,
Steph.
Lisa.
Steph, Tiffany.
I'll tell
Tiffany
you.
hasn't
I'll
seen-
tell you what was funny
I've
was
not watched before.
what was funny was John. Your episode was about probably like 3 or 4 seconds ahead of mine. So every time you said, "Oh, there's a cartwheel," it was
Oh,
like
it was like there's
it
a
was like
cartwheel, and
seeing
then
the
like 3
future.
seconds later, you saw a cartwheel.
Yes.
Same with me.
So I'm going to share in my birthday wealth. Down on the beanbags, we have Amanda, and it's her birthday as well.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Amanda.
Amanda.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Amanda, if you want to come up, we'd love to have you.
I think this is the first time we have, we got the group dividing up the chores, and we get to see what everyone's role is. Willow is obviously the computer person who accidentally hacked into the city's system.
The guy who
Accidentally.
doesn't listen. The guy who doesn't listen, Hunter.
Yes, the guy who doesn't listen and does what he wants.
Wait, who doesn't listen?
Xander. She told
Xander.
Xander to stay behind and he
Xander.
followed her anyway.
Well, we
Hi,
have
everybody. Thank
the
you for the
roles.
birthday wishes.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
It's like every
Um,
time he makes a bad decision.
Yeah, I was like somebody at some point told him, "Don't buy a mushroom shirt." And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go buy a mushroom shirt. I don't care what you say.
I'm gonna wear it in the daylight, like in public.
I think like the thing that I will stick it out for season 1 is seeing the 4 of them, because they are like a little group of misfits.
They're kind of like
Firefly.
they're kind of like Scooby-Doo ish, you know. Maybe I'm just saying that because Sarah Michelle Gellar was in Scooby-Doo, but
She was indeed.
but there's something very like Mystery Gang about them, you know.
Yeah.
They're like
That was the thing.
they huddle together. They've got a mystery to solve. They're getting some information. Giles is like he's sort of like the James Bond gadget guy, you know, like who gives them like their special gadgets and stuff. But in this way, he's giving them like important lore and you know, historical information, all of that. It's fun. I mean, there's no question that stuff's fun. I'm waiting for the show's production value to catch up with its like kind of all of that sort of fun stuff, you know, because you can see how all of that has so much potential. But right now, just everything feels like it's a little bit like cardboard sets a bit, you know.
I like how in the pilot episode, Buffy's telling Giles, you know, how he can explain to her how things can be, you know, how she can be friendless and all this and that. And then in this episode, because they found out by accident, and then Willow gets taken, she gets these friends who get to know her secret life, and she kind of gets a little bit of normalcy in her life, yet she still has to be the Slayer. And Giles just seems to accept that at this point right now.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I'm
And that's
super
why they get their
curious.
little game.
I'm super curious to see what the remastered version looks like. I know that you're.
It's not all the episodes.
I know that you're very anti it, but like if it puts it into HD, and if it gives it a little bit more gloss, that I could imagine enjoying it a little bit more. anymore.
I will tell you,
No.
I watched it on Prime tonight, and I mean, since I don't know the show, I don't know any different. So
Yeah, not all episodes are going to have extra elbows and crew people and stuff.
Yeah,
but-
no, it's mainly just the coloring and the coreless effect on.
Well, Steph, would you say, like, watching it, do you feel like you're watching a show from like production value wise? Do you think that does it feel like you're watching a show from like 1993, or does it look like you're watching a show from like 2001?
it still feels like the 90s.
Okay.
It mostly
We got-
changes the coloring and the mood of some of the scenes
Yeah,
in
like,
the ones that I've looked at.
I was rewatching the first part of the pilot, Welcome to the Hellmouth, with Mary actually. Was it yesterday? A couple days ago? I can't remember, but we both watched on Prime because I still have Hulu with ads, so we thought to best be synced up, we'll watch it on Prime. And I noticed immediately the difference in color, because I had watched with everyone official slate wise on Hulu. So I noticed immediately the discrepancies in color, like the differences. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to compare and contrast.
And there's
it's
some
not
cracking
it's not
issues,
really
too.
it's just more of a nuisance now, but like later on when they do start using color palettes and things to, for the scenes and everything, it does change your understanding, your perception of scenes. And
There's some side by sides on YouTube that people put together, like of scene to scene where you can look at them, and then you really can tell the difference. But I wouldn't recommend going and looking at those until you get kind of to the episodes that happen, because you might actually see stuff that hasn't happened.
yeah, if you look up things, you will start to get suggestions for other shows, and people definitely use things in their thumbnails that will give other plot points and things away later on. So I would just avoid doing that. Don't look up anything because your Google will follow you and start
Well,
suggesting.
I'm posting for social. I'm posting stuff, and I do with those gifts. I mean, I type in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and so I see tons of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but not
don't know
whole,
how
but
I'll
not
feel
whole
anyway.
scenes. Like these are whole scenes where they play out the whole scene.
Yeah, and
in
the
remastered
gifts.
and the original.
Yeah, the gifts aren't really too spoilery, but yeah, what they're talking about for like YouTube and giving you articles, it's definitely going to spoil things.
Right.
Just you using the gifts, you'll start to get article suggestions now that happens.
So did you like the episode, John? You guys were asking other people.
I did like the episode. I mean, I thought that this episode was a bit better for me. It was a bit better than the last episode. And the main reason is because aside from that, it was a
Is he
lot
cutting
harder
out for other people?
He's cutting out completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Am I still cutting out?
No,
Yeah, that's better.
You were okay then.
I said, I thought that this episode was better than the last one, partly because the last episode there was a bit too much talking in the beginning, and I just couldn't really focus. But more than that, there was just a lot in the last episode that I felt that you needed to sort of understand going in that I just didn't. And so it was really hard for me to really focus and wrap my brain around it. Whereas in this episode, I felt like I went in knowing so much. So I was able to enjoy the episode. And I just liked the level of chatter that we had throughout this episode was also made it really fun. So this episode for me was stronger than the last one. In general, I really like the concept, and I really like the as Steph just said, I really like the little gang of like mystery solvers. I kind of feel like that's probably like I've never seen the show Veronica Mars, but I kind of feel like that's probably similar to what Veronica Mars is like, and that's the reason why that show's really beloved, or for a similar reason. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
I really am excited about that. But I mean, I certainly cannot wait for the show to have a better budget, and to, just kind of find its own.
I lost him.
I
Did he
lost
cut
him
out
too.
for everybody? Okay.
Yep.
Hey guys, don't forget to harvest the harvest.
I think I know Lisa's having issues with internet as well. She's gone. So
Can you really not?
there you
hear me?
go.
Did you
No,
really
you
not hear any
completely
of
went mute.
Well, no, we had a lot of that, but out of the blue dropped out completely.
Oh, okay. So
I
yeah, I
lost
was just saying
internet.
that, like, I just said at the end, I just can't. I cannot wait for, like, with all the stuff that I really like about it. I just can't wait for it to finally get some production value, some money. I can't wait for the writing to actually kind of find its groove, and I expect that it's going to become this really awesome show that everybody loves. But right now, it's like I can see all of the potential cool stuff about it, but it hasn't really gotten there for me. I'm just like, oh, I really like that kind of storytelling. I like this world, but still, it's a little too cheap at this point.
I will say, like, this is my favorite show of all time, my number one. So, and you and I have similar tastes, so I feel like you'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty convinced that I will. And like I said, I have friends who also, like, this is their favorite show, or was their favorite show at the time. I remember chatting with somebody back when it was on. They were like, "Oh, it's the best thing on TV right now. It's just so good." And I've also seen clips, like, or like screenshots from, like, later episodes, and it just looks like a completely different show. It just looks like it has a ton of money. It looks like it has, so much more, like, the characters are so much more natural, and sort of the actors have really sunk into the characters. So I give it that pilot pass, and I give it that first season pass.
And 90s pass.
And 90s pass, but mostly because I'm enjoying the, like, some of the tropes a lot. Like, I really like that, like, mystery gang trope, and I really like this kind of, like, the old ones, and, like,
I've never heard
catacombs.
anybody say season one's their favorite. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah,
All the
no,
people I
ever.
know-
Oh, I mean, how could I couldn't imagine everybody. I mean, I mean, it's very cheap looking.
It gave me that campy feel. I felt like I was watching Knight Rider.
Oh my goodness.
Night Rider.
That was
That's
another
why-
awesome
that-
show trick.
Well, that was the reason why I asked. If Steph, if you thought of it, if you think the Prime version looks more like 93, or whether it looks more like 2001, because I know it's a late 90s show, but I gotta say, like, the Hulu version that I'm watching, I mean, it looks early 90s, late 80s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's mostly because it just looks like they just have no money. Like, it really looks like it's just got the lowest budget ever. But that they need it to, like, have a good budget. They need, because they've got, like, visual effects in it. They've got, like, all kinds of prosthetics and stuff. I mean, they need it to be higher production quality, but they don't.
They
have the
used
money.
all their budget on dusting the vampires.
On dusting those vampires, I know, right? Like, that's like the most impressive thing in the episode is when a vampire, like, puffs into dust. You're like, wow, oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But, like, the makeup is really, like, Star Wars.
Cheese.
It's like Cantina.
Yeah, I would say the Prime version, I feel like, is just like a little crisper, clearer, the color. Yeah. But it still feels 90s.
I was telling a couple of people earlier that I have my DVDs, so I watched the first episode on DVD but it's not, it's like it's in the widescreen, but not quite. And so like everybody's a little smushed, you know. So like, you know, and also my DVD player is 25 years old, so it's not the best quality experience, but it was kind of funny because I was like, okay, like it looks real 90s because of all of that.
Yeah, that's pretty much all they did for Prime was make it widescreen.
Well, until you one of the things I noticed on some of it was the way they crop things were different. So the view of a scene might look different, or there's a lot of head space above, or their heads are partly cut off. I mean, it's like really weird stuff. But if you've never seen it before, you wouldn't notice those things. And in some cases, you'll miss things that they meant people to see because of the way they cropped it.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, you'll miss things on the side or the bottom that fit the scene, or, you know, like someone's eating and passes someone else food and you won't see that because of the way they crop it.
Or
Like-
you'll get stuff you shouldn't have seen because they didn't crop it right. I noticed that, Hunter.
Did you?
Yeah.
We were talking, John, you mentioned the tropes, like you were enjoying the tropes of the show. One of the things we mentioned in the last episode, like the first scene, you know, a lot of people were not expecting Darla to be a vampire. And then in this scene, I can't remember who mentioned it, when they were climbing out of the little cave down there, the sewer, someone mentioned that Buffy let Xander go first. So we are definitely continuously getting those tropes and things that we are expecting, little details like that are different because Buffy is a girl who's doing the protecting in this show. And they're letting you know, like, you know, with Darla, no, like, don't expect what you would normally expect in those tropes.
Speechless.
Did I cut out again? What happened?
No, I was just gonna say, like, you're totally right, and I think sometimes it's really subtle on this show. Like, it's almost like you notice it, but like you kind of, like, you're engrossed in the story. So I always, I think, appreciated the show for those subtle turns. You know, like I didn't notice that she had Xander go first. I just totally like didn't notice it. Because it's more of a subtle what's the word I'm looking for, like overturning of the trope, right? So I really appreciate the show for all of those like quick little turns of like, we expect it to go this way, but it goes this way.
Yeah, well, back when this first aired, those reversals were they were a little more noticeable because it wasn't something you normally would see, where nowadays there's a lot more strong, powerful women and things than there used to be that are sometimes the protectors versus the men. But it was like, I mean, it just was kind of one of the early shows for something like that on TV, especially for the kind of young adults, you know, 16 to 34s or whatever they call them. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think that Buffy definitely was a trendsetter in, like, you know, it's sort of archetypal in like today, right? Like that the first, like one of the first representations of like badass, like strong woman who, like, you know, is trying to save the world literally, it comes from Buffy. So, you know, I feel like other stories that come after this, this one's paving the way in that way.
What year did Mean Girls, the movie, come out? Because
that was like 2003.
So like when I watch this once in a while, when I do go back and watch season 1, I always think of Cordelia kind of as like one of the original Mean Girls in the way that movie portrayed Mean Girls.
Diana,
she
you were
just
close.
really
2004.
Yeah, Mean Girls came out literally like a few months after Buffy ended. So
yeah, so like Cordelia in season 1 is like Regina George in a way. She's just mean, self-absorbed, kind of like that one girl started talking, she was like, excuse me, I'm still talking kind of thing. She didn't care about that girl's story, just her own and stuff like that.
When this came out, does anybody know if the book that first revealed revealed the descriptive look of Voldemort had come out yet? I mean, I know the movie hadn't come out yet that would show you what he looked like.
No, you don't. And even the movie version of Voldemort is even a little bit more kind of snakish like than he's described in the books, from what I remember. I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
no,
because I was watching this and I was just thinking, somebody might have copied Buffy for their.
Yeah, like
The first book came out in 1997, but he wasn't really because remember, in the first book, I'm sure everybody knows about Harry Potter. It's not a spoiler at this point, that you only saw he was on the back of the head, so you didn't have that look until 2018. So 1998 was when the second book came out, and then you saw what he looked like. So yeah, it was definitely not. It was a coincidence.
But it was
also thinks he looks very Voldemort.
It was also the director of that fourth film who decided to take Ralph Fiennes and remove his nose in order to make him look that way. So because he liked the look of the actor, but he thought he would look a little more evil, he just took his nose off. So that was kind of almost the director of that film's decision more than how it was written into the books.
Yeah, and the book he described as just like snake-like, whatever. It's not nearly as
right
mastery as.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like the visual that the director wanted to go for to make him look more that way. It was kind of his decision in a way. And I saw him in an interview where he was talking about that. So that's the only reason I know that. But yes, he does kind of have that same look. But I just think the Master's kind of like this version of a stereotype old vampire who's supposed to look kind of creepy and bony and weird.
It separates him from the other ones. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
FYI, guys, Shelly gave me a great idea and I didn't realize it, but I meant January 28th. Sorry, Shelly. I just scheduled Lost Boys for January 28th.
Guys, I just wanted you to let you know that Iernan left. She's opening up her room for a drop of Gilmore.
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually head out as well. But thank you so much, Sherry, Julie, happy birthday again.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Julie.
Dear Julie.
Happy birthday, Julie
Happy birthday
and
to
Amanda.
And happy birthday, Amanda. I'm gonna close out the room. Thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Julie.
And I hope you get over a drop of Gilmore.
Thank you so much. Bye guys.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.